Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chaotic Little Book Corner. My name's Acacia. Today I'm going to be telling you a more in-depth reason and story behind the fact that I am breaking up with a bookshop in my local area. I'm terrified to make this video because there are controversial statements in this video. If I lose subscribers due to this video, I do understand. Please know these are my opinions, these are my experiences, and these are my thoughts as to why I will not support this company anymore. The company at question is BAM, which is Books A Million. Books A Million is the bookshop that took over Borders here in the Portland, Maine area. I believe strongly that a bookstore's job is to promote literacy, education, and to give the opportunity to read about diverse subjects. If a company decides to specify that their beliefs go in one way or another, that is their choice, and I support them in their choice and their freedom to carry the books that they see fit to carry, but I may not support the reasons behind the choices of sold fiction or nonfiction. I am going to go through the 4 experiences I have had with Books A Million that have caused me discomfort, anger, frustration, and offense, and I'm going to explain to you why I will no longer be shopping with them, and also why, having already talked to a customer service rep who told me pretty clearly that they were sorry for the inconvenience, and that was about it. I understand that Books A Million does not advertise itself as a Christian bookstore. However, there has been, over the last few years, a large shift in the shelf stocking of diversity in terms of LGBTQ books, as well as the psychology section. They have both drastically dropped down and have been replaced with either books that try to help you overcome adversities that you are having with those 2 subjects, or just been taken off the shelf entirely. The LGBT book selection has drastically dropped, and the psychology selection has drastically dropped as well. When the bookstore first opened, it was replacing Borders. Borders was my go-to bookshop at the time, so I had some hard feelings about that, but I was willing to give them a shot. I had my first experience at Books A Million when I was first diagnosed with DID 2 years ago, and this was my first poor experience. Prior to that, I had come in with a book in mind, I had purchased it, I had left. They had pushed the rewards program on me a few too many times in a more aggressive way than I see acceptable. However, that I understand because it is their job and it usually impacts a person's paycheck sometimes, and I would never want to, I won't purchase it myself, but I will never feel anger towards the person for pushing it in a way that is respectful. My first poor experience was 2 years ago after my DID was diagnosed, and I had finally decided that I was open to the idea of reading literature based on my experience and others with my disorder of DID. I went into Books A Million. I asked them about a book called The Flock. They did not have it in store. They told me they could order it. However, after they told me they could order it, we walked over to the computer to order it, and they began to chat with me a little more in depth about their opinions. This is the salesperson. About what I was looking at. When they saw what DID was, and they asked me a few more questions, and I explained that it was formerly called multiple personality disorder, their mood changed. They immediately became on edge, became wary of me, and began to explain to me, or began to ask of me, didn't I know Sybil was not real? This is how the conversation progressed. They began to explain to me in great detail how Sybil was a sham and it was not real and that's not a real disorder and people don't really have that and anyone who says they do is just trying to get money. In this moment, I did not see fit to tell them that I was a DID patient because I did not feel as if their assumptions and rudeness would warrant my exposing a very vulnerable fact of myself. I think today I probably would have dealt with it differently because I have more pride and I'm not ashamed of the fact that I have a mental illness, but in my current position at that time, being a new patient, being in new treatment for this disorder that I knew very little about and that I was just learning, and also being in a new position where I was starting to use the words I am mentally ill, I didn't have the courage to say to them, you are wrong, there are people with DID, I am one of them, I bid you good day, I'm going to speak to your supervisor. I did speak to their supervisor told me the same things pretty candidly, explaining to me how Sybil was a sham, and then showed me the book that debunked Sybil, because she thought that was why I was interested in it. And she's like, well, if you're interested in this, we have this book on Sybil. I'm sorry, I don't mean to use a catty voice. Sorry. Following that, I came back for a second time with a friend of mine who is part of the LGBTQ community. We went to the section where the LGBTQ books were originally. That area of books was now fully Bibles. I don't know if this has changed since that experience because I don't go back to that section due to the fact that I am a person who has faith but not a person of faith. I have very much struggled with my identity with religion because of a lot of things that have happened to me. I really have troubles with that. I understand. To those of you who have belief and faith in that, it is a beautiful thing. It can be a helpful thing, and it can really change a person's life and experience. But for me, it was a very damaging experience to be in a religious environment in some facets, and therefore I have struggles with it. So I do avoid the section where the Bibles are located. I am versed in the Bible. I had a experience of 2 years in my high school where I was at an all-girls Catholic school. I did read the Bible in that time. I did get versed in the Bible in that time, and so I do understand the Bible for that time. And I still do understand the Bible. I also have a part of me, which is one of my altars. She is Mary. She is extremely religious, and she believes very much in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I let her have that belief, and I let her be herself. I don't question her. I do also, though, have 2 altars that are gay. One is female, and one is male. And I also have a part of myself who is very, very confused at this moment because they identify as a male, but they believe their body to be female, and they are very upset by the fact that they can't pick a gender, and this is not the same thing as a transgender person because it is an alter, but some of the same struggles are applying to this part, and I'm trying to help this part find an identity of gender. even though we're not trying to force them to pick a gender, we are trying to let them understand that they do have the option of a gender because they can feel one way or another, and that is acceptable. I will never judge my parts for their choices, and I will never judge another for their choices, and in return, I also hope that people will not judge me for my parts. So, as a result, I no longer go to that section. However, in that moment where I went to that section, the friend of mine that I was with was very upset because the books that they were expecting to purchase that day were no longer available in store, and there were only Bibles in that section. We were then pointed to a small shelf section in the back of the store where there were LGBT fiction, but no kind of help books. And then we went to the self-help section. There was a few on the LGBT community section, but nothing drastic, and it was slimmer pickings than we would have appreciated from the largest bookstore in the main area. So, that being said, that was my second poor moment. I did actually let the customer service representatives know of my feelings from both experiences. After that second experience, they sent me a $20 gift card, which is what brought me in the second time. I let them know, they apologized, said they would report to their higher ups about this system, about this I guess the way that I referred to it as was lack of diversity, and they wanted to address that, I guess. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently it was heard. I don't know. So yeah, I've brought it to the attention of customer service that there's a lack of diversity in our store. I also want to point out that this community in the Portland area has a large LGBT community, as well as they are, like anywhere there is mental health issues and people of color and diversity in general that should be available. And because it is in the Portland area, which is our, I would say, hub of the main area, that's kind of like our bigger city, would be the Portland area. I would hope that the largest bookstore in the largest part of Maine, as far as the city goes, would give that diversity a space and a place to be. So I went back. I had the $20 gift card. I bought a coffee and then some clearance books. And when I got to the front desk, I began to check out, and they told me about the rewards card. Again, I really didn't want it. This associate, however, began to push it on me to the point where I started to cry because I couldn't say no anymore. I was too tired. So I ended up leaving without the books. I ended up leaving in tears, and I reported again to customer service. They did not send me a gift card or anything. They just were very apologetic for my experience. I think at this point they were annoyed with me. Sorry. And then I was wasting time because I was meeting a friend for dinner, and I went in there because I couldn't stay at home, and I was just antsy, and I wasn't planning to purchase anything. I was wandering around. I had no interest in purchasing. I saw the new Jim Crow. I picked it up. I sat down, and I began to read it. My fury became so intense that I ended up picking it up and being like, okay, this I need. Now, I was very angry, so I picked up the Suicide Squad as well in a compulsive or impulsive way. Like, I need to solve this problem with purchasing more. I don't understand myself, but that was my logic. I got to the register. The person at the register saw the two books. and immediately began to pitch the rewards card to me and how I could get discounts on it, by assuming that these books were not for me. Now, first of all, I was purchasing Suicide Squad wearing a Harley Quinn t-shirt. I don't understand. How is this book not for me? So that's the first thing. Second of all, the new Jim Crow is not just for people of color. I don't think that the new Jim Crow actually has anything to tell a person of color that they don't already know. I think that it tells the more privileged white people things that they may be ignoring. I don't want to say that that's like its only point. I think it's actually it's going to be a good piece for history. It's going to show a lot about our culture. It's going to show a lot about the diversities and the issues with race and all of those things kind of wrapped up into one book. I haven't read it yet, but that's what I'm hoping for. I am looking at it as something to help me learn, not something to stunt my... I'm looking at it as a learning experience. And so I would never, ever, ever, as a book company, want my associates to try and discourage a person from learning, is what I really want to say. It would be my greatest fear to find out that my associates were discouraging learning, discouraging diversity, discouraging education in gender, sexual orientation, identity, race, mental illness, mental health, anything potentially that could give this person's life a little more understanding and feeling. It would break my heart to know that a sales associate was discouraging this person. And in that moment, I just stared at him because I thought he was joking, and he continued to try and guess who these books were for. And it got worse and worse, and it finally got to the point when he said, "Are you trying, do you have a black boyfriend or something? Are you picking this up for him?" And I stared at him and I said, "So what if I do? What if I do have a black boyfriend? What if I am picking this up for him? Why is that your business? Why? Why is that your business?" And he just stared at me and he said, "Can I get you anything else today?" And I said, "Absolutely not, and I won't be back." And he stared at me and he goes, "Why?" And I just went, "If you don't understand, that's why I'm not coming back." And I think that confused him more, and I really don't care, because I feel like I'm such a sensitive person, and I'm maybe oversensitive to things like that, and that I've been bullied way too many times, so I feel like maybe I'm just hypersensitive. I don't know. But my gut is telling me that a company that would allow a person to batter a client to the point of tears with a rewards card, question a person's purchase based on their gender and race, and also tell them that their mental illness is fake, I won't shop at a company that does that. End of discussion. I won't, because I don't want to give my money to a company that believes. This is not about the customer's always right. It's not. It is about human decency, and it is about acceptance, and it is about what a book stands for. This all these, I don't buy them to look pretty. I buy them to grow. I didn't win medals as a child. These are my medals. These are my achievements. These are my looks into someone else's life, someone else's world. These are an opportunity to see things differently. And for a bookstore to not know that that's what a book is, I won't be there to support that. I won't enter that store. I won't give them my business. And I will no longer be shopping with BAM Books. Books A Million no longer has my business. This has been a really stressful rant. I'm going to turn off the camera now because I'm struggling to stay present because I'm scared and I'm afraid because I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want this to be controversial. I know it is, but I don't want it to be. But I need to explain to you guys what my response was and why I was responding the way I was to a bookstore. Because I never want to tell a bookstore no, because I believe they're really important, but they're not important if they're not doing what a bookstore should do. Anyway, I am going to go try and recenter myself to the point where I'm myself again, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I will see you in my next video.